welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak, the podcast. I'm your host, Elena Fox. Hey guys, I hope you're doing really well in this moment in time. And that whenever and wherever you happen to be on this weird, wild, wonderful whirlwind of a whittled down world. Oh, I hope that you are able to stop carrying the pain of others in your energy field. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, usually I would say stop carrying your own pain, right? Well, we do tend to carry and hold on to our own pain until we heal ourselves. And then we will meet somebody who has had traumatic experiences. And then we relate to them, and then we feel bad for them. And we feel this energy of why did they have to go through that? Then we pity them, and we feel sorry for them. And then we think, now this is the tricky part, we start to feel a little bit sorry for them in a way that we feel better than them because we could see their pain that they can't see, we think. And it's all coming from a place of ego, right? And then we hold their energy and their pain for them in our bodies and reflect it back to them. And we push our pain onto other people. But is it our pain or their pain? Well, it's almost like when we hear someone's stories, and I can tell you where this came from in a minute, but we'll tell people our stories, or they'll tell us our stories. And what are we supposed to do in a meaningful and wonderful exchange is that, especially for empaths, automatically it's going to happen where we feel bad for them. Oh my God, you went through that. I feel for you. We say that in our words, in our language. I feel for you. A normal person will say this. I feel for you. A narcissist won't, because they don't feel for you, because they could give a shit less about you. But when it's somebody who has empathy and love and sympathy, and sympathy is worse because that's on the road to pity, which is the absolute worst. But we have this energy of, oh man, I can't believe you went through that. Oh, and then we attach it to the pain we have in our own lives from our own past. And then we amplify it by then going over their pain. And then there's this kind of a ping pong energy going back and forth. You know, it just keeps going back and forth. And I ping my energy to you, and you ping your energy to me. And then we create this bond through a shared ping-ponging of traumatic pain that gets connected and hooked together. And this is fucked up, but everyone does it, right? It's just something that, and then we kind of feel, and I have a friend who I love dearly, but when I was going through my divorce and it was so much pain, he's an empath like I am. He's actually an incarnated archangel as well, but he did not know. I just told him that, like, recently. I'm like, it came to me while we're talking, and I was like, holy crap. You're one of us. You're one of me. And so now he's like, oh, no wonder. And angels tend to have more empathy in general because that's how we're built, which is why also angels have problems with overeating and with overthinking and worrying, and also addictions and bad relationships, because we all think we are able to love extra, and that extra love is going to fix what's wrong with these people who are so much in pain. So there's like all this stuff that happens when you're an incarnated angel, and there's not many of us. There's like maybe 7,000 of us around the world incarnated right now, archangels. But, and then the demons who fell to earth and they're trying to claw their way back up to being an angel again. That's a whole nother ball game. So there's more of those guys too, much more than the archangels. But anyway, this friend of mine, like when I was going through my divorce, it got to a point where he was more upset about it than I was. Like, what the actual hell? Like, dude, this is my pain. I own my pain. How dare you usurp my pain and then make it about you? Like, what the fuck, right? He didn't really make it about himself, but he made it about how he feels my pain. And then he would call me on the phone drinking and crying about my breakup. And it's like, this pain is enough for me. You don't need to share my pain in a way in which you take it from me and then feed it back into my face after I'm already filled up with my pain. You don't get to do that to me. And I had not one, not two, but like 5 or 6 people doing this to me when I went through my breakup, because my love with my husband before he went crazy and died of brain cancer. I think he had brain cancer. We didn't know, though. I mean, I had no idea. He was just one day absolutely a complete asshole out of nowhere. And I mean, hell, maybe he was just a clone. Maybe my real husband's out there somewhere still alive and he was replaced by the government with a clone. Like, these wild theories have come to me over the years, like, as to explain why he was normal and in love with me. And then a couple weeks later, literally did not want anything to do with me ever again. And then he started sleeping with somebody who was in her 60s. And I'm like, what is happening right now? It made no sense to me. It made absolutely no sense to me. I was 38 years old and he broke up with me so he could sleep with a 60-year-old woman, 65 or something. Anyway, but not only that, and whatever, if he wasn't in love with her, he was friends with her like his whole life, but that whole thing was really strange. But the fact that, and he was faithful to me our whole lives together too, so that was like a random wild thing. But our love had been inspirational and people were really grateful to hear about it. They were like, oh, if only I could have a love like that. And some people who also were in my life at the time, one of my friends and later my birth mother, when she came into my life, they were not jealous of my love. In fact, they were always putting it down. And I realized it's because they themselves had never found the true soulmate love that they had always been looking for. And like my friend was bitter. I always read her as being very jealous and bitter of the fact that she did not have somebody to love her, be faithful to her, want to have children with her, spend every waking moment with her. Like she wanted that, but then she was afraid of that. So she just put down what I had. And then the same thing with my mom. Like she was not in love with her husband, even though she always told people she was. I don't want to get too much into it, but I mean, it's like if you're in love with somebody, you actually are physically intimate with them. You make love with them. And she just wasn't, like with her husband for years and years and years. And so she was jealous every time my husband would hold my hand or put his arms around me or kiss my cheek or my forehead or kiss me on the lips. It was several times of the day, every day. We had such an amazing and close partnership on every level. And before he went crazy, it was wonderful. But anyway, when we broke up, regardless of what happened or how it happened, and the fact that he had brain cancer, he died of brain cancer, it was 18 months in court with him, and then we finally got everything completely done. Now in April of 2010, everything was completely done. No more court. We're divorced. Now we're co-parents, and that's it. Bada boom, bada bing. Thank God, after 18 months. And then he died in November of 2010, the same year. And he called me and he said, I have cancer of the brain and I've had it for a while. And then he just started crying on the phone. And I was like, well, what the hell, dude? We didn't have to go through the divorce and put you through all this emotional wreck stress. I would have just moved out until we figured it out. And then I could move back into my home with my kids, right? After he died, we would have figured it out. But anyway, the whole thing was such a mind fuck for me. And people held that energy of that mind fuckery for years after I was over it. I'm over it now. I mean, I love him and I wish him well, whether he's, stuck in an underground bunker being interrogated by the government, or he's actually 6 feet under in the cemetery where I believed I left him. No matter where he is in the world, whatever. That relationship's dead and gone and buried, even if he's still alive somewhere, even if that was his clone we buried, no matter what the situation, circumstances, it's I've been over it for a long time. I mean, sometimes every now and again I'll think about him and I'll think, I really kind of miss that about him. I miss watching Frasier at night with him, and I miss talking and laughing and joking with him. But a lot of parts of it I don't miss. He was in chronic pain constantly, and that was kind of a bummer. Like, having to hear about him complain about his back like several times a day for 13 years kind of, drags you down. I mean, I had love and compassion for him, but it was like, oh my God, he was 12 years older than me. So it was kind of a drag sometimes, but it's okay. I mean, I still loved him very much. And I think what we had was special. And, my friend who I haven't talked to in years, and he got back in touch with me a few weeks ago. He was one of those people that was always putting me back into my pain, like, I'm like, all right, well, I worked this out about myself. I worked this out and I feel really good now because today I no longer feel bad about that. I don't feel bad that he dated that woman, right? Or today is the day that I don't feel bad about the fact that he never bought lingerie for me, but he went out and bought lingerie for a 60-something-year-old woman, which, I mean, the mindfuckery never ended there for a couple of years. And I just was like, what? I mean, this is not a very good-looking 65-year-old. It's like a normal 65, it's not Sophia Loren who's gorgeous. Sophia Loren could be 250 years old and still be sexy and beautiful, but this woman was no Sophia Loren. I met her after my husband died accidentally on the freeway. I saw her and I was like, what? God, he really did have... I mean, she was a sweet person. I mean, don't get me wrong, very sweet lady, but what? It just blew my mind. All right. Sometimes the heart wants what the heart wants, I suppose. I don't know. I mean, people said that about me and him, though. I mean, people look at him the same way, like, God, he's so much older than you. Why do you want to be with that guy, It's like, yeah, it's an energetic thing. I mean, it is what it is. But anyway, the pain that my friend, would carry my pain, and I didn't recognize exactly what that was or what, what was going on there, and now my friend and I are back in touch, and I was just telling him some of this experiences that I went through, and this past weekend was a time of reliving, revitalizing, reinventing. We're still in the process of reinvention. We're already to February 1st, guys. Oh my God, does it not seem like January 1st was like a week and a half ago? I mean, it just seems like it's going super, super fast. Like really fast for me. And I just looked, oh my God, they changed the app, and I just looked in the numbers that's counting down. I'm like, there's a font I don't think I've ever seen in my life. This is so strange. Like, whoa, yeah, February 1st, and all of a sudden everything changes. So, I was telling my friends some of the things that I went through, and this past weekend, a lot of extremely painful memories of what I have been through started cropping up, and I'm just like kind of clearing it out. And I've already done brainwave optimization therapy, like the emotional trauma and pain, or the pain of the emotional traumas and the shocks and the stuff I've been through I'm already over it. My brain is already completely healed and repaired and repatterned, and everything was fine, except for the last maybe 4 or 5 deaths that I've had to go through, and I'm almost through all of those grievings too. I mean, 2 of my favorite uncles died this past a year and a half. My best friend Amber, my friend Dale, who I was super, super close with. And I think my friend had multiple personality disorder, and one of his alter egos overdosed, dressed him up like a woman, and then went on Facebook as the alter ego saying, we're going to get fucked up and party tonight, guys. And that night she took too much heroin and he died. And it was like that one, I think, was about when I was getting my brain repatterned. So I don't know. I think maybe it took me years. I'm over that death, but that was like one of those crazy things that happened. Like, what? But I've gone, like I told my friend, like I was trying to explain to him, like, look, you're an archangel, right? And as an archangel, you need to, for yourself, figure out which one you are. Like, what was your specialty? And he's like, I'm just going to let it unfold as a mystery over time. And I'm like, why? Because this is your life purpose and your life path, and what you thought your life purpose and your path is, it's going to dovetail nicely in with this, but it's going to give you a richer experience. And why would you not want that, like, immediately? Why would you not want to know? And why wouldn't you want to go, well, wait a minute, all these things leading up into this point, and I find this out, now it's like, oh, I understand why I'm here. How can I serve God better? How can I serve humanity better? Like, for me, that's what it did. And he says to me, well, I don't want to get caught up in the ego of it. I'm like, oh, well, for me, this wasn't a part of my ego trip because, you know, wow, gee, I always wanted to be the angel that everybody fucking feared. I want to be the one angel that everybody hated. You know, nobody wears a t-shirt that says, you know, fuck you, angel of music. But I have seen t-shirts with the angel of death on it that said, fuck you, death. You know. People don't erect statues of me in their homes, but in their cemeteries. So while they're sad, while they're upset, they go to the cemetery, and then they're reminded of me, and then they're sadder. Wow, that's what I wanted to be. Gee, that really strokes my fucking ego that I wanted to be an angel that everyone's scared of and hates and reminds of their fucking sadness and grief. And I was laughing when he said, I'm like, this has nothing to do with my ego, dude. When I found that out, I was like, well, shit howdy. No wonder I've had to go through so much fucking trauma this life. So many deaths. So much shit. I've had to walk where the other angels fear to tread, man. And I've had to because it's part of my experience as a world walker, walking between life and death and dealing with people who are really affected by death in one way or another, whether they're dying, whether their loved ones died. I have even had to deal with serial killers. I have met serial killers that I had to heal emotional parts of them, knowing that full well that they might go out and kill again, but that's their path. And God said, don't stop them. Fuck. Okay, please put them in a position where they don't kill again. I've had to carry the pain of some of these people until I release the pain of these people. And I released it out of my body too. So I don't need that shit in my body. But for me to find Dad out, for me, it wasn't an ego trip. For me, it was something of, oh, now I get it. I'm not supposed to be afraid of ghosts. I'm supposed to release the ghosts of the earth. I'm not supposed to be afraid of a spooky piece of land. I am a world walker. I'm a death walker. I came into my own as a shaman a few years back, and I remember thinking, I have to release the pain and the trauma of the murders that happened on this land. That's what why I'm an archangel of death, and that's why I had to understand and recognize who I am. And that's how I was able to go, oh, all right, instead of like, why are ghosts always haunting me? Fuck, get away from me. Now I'm like, oh, well, let me just put you into heaven. Let me take care of you. And I've had to deal with a few evil spirits that were definitely not going to heaven. And I had to be very tactful and helpful anyway, because it's not my job to judge. It's up to God, right? So for me, it's not an ego thing. For me, it's like, oh, I know what I'm supposed to be doing now. Oh, wow, I'm actually happy about that. But I was telling him some of the stuff, like I witnessed murders when I was in Peru, more than one, a whole entire homeless encampment just were set on fire in front of me while I was tripping balls on acid. And I didn't know at the time that that's what it was. And it wasn't until later on that I was just like, telling my son, like, yeah, something weird happened. There's this fire, and the police wouldn't even look at it. They were looking at me like yeah, I'm tripping balls, but I mean, they're looking at me like I'm the crazy one. I was sitting down doing nothing. I was watching the river, and they refused to look at a fire. It was a massive fucking fire. And he said, yeah, I watched them do it. I was across the river on the other side. He was like 2 blocks away from us. And he said he had taken a walk, and we were only like 4 blocks from our hotel or whatever. He said he had taken a walk and with somebody, and they saw that, and they're like, whoa, what the hell? And there's nothing they could do. You can't tell the police because it's the police murdering the people. There's nothing you can do. You know, the best thing you could do is just not say anything because, you know, but I said some things I didn't know what was happening. So that was one of those weird traumatic things. So I was just, but my friend was like, you know, let's catch up. What have you been up to the past few years? I'm like, well, all right. And he's like, well, what was Peru like? I'm like, well, when I finish my book and publish it, it's going to be titled Incomodo Dragon. You know, like a Komodo dragon, but also incomodo, because incomodo means uncomfortable, right? You know, and it was just, and I saw a dragon there, and there was a lot of Chinese connections there, and I loved Peru, but at the same time, it was scary as hell. It was one of the scariest places I've ever been, and I witnessed and experienced quite a bit of trauma, you know, and it was like, damn. But I got over it. I mean, I did the brainwave optimization. I'm over it. I'm through it, you know, and you guys know that I'm always telling you to release the pain, release the stress, release the negative, toxic energy from each of your chakras, all 12 of your chakras. Release it from your Pepsi bodies, your psychological, emotional, physical, and spiritual individual bodies, your Pepsi bodies. Just get all that out, you know, and clear it out constantly. But what I recognized this time is when I was talking to my friend today, he took in all the stuff I told him. I'm like, I saw this, I saw that. It was like pretty crazy, but then I had this amazing experience. I saw a UFO. I saw, you know, all kinds. I didn't even tell him about the dragon I saw, you know, but all the cool stuff and all the weird stuff. And, you know, I'm like, but there's a reason I did not stay in Peru. There's a reason I live in Ecuador now, because it's a lot more calm. I mean, I didn't like all the chaos and drama. It's just that it was part of my proving ground as the archangel of death, Azrael. It was part of my proving ground to see all the different manners and means and ways in which death occurs, as well as the trauma it encroaches upon other people and the land, even the animals around. And it was part of my learning how to heal the land, the energetic patterns, you know, the people, the just taking and to see where I take the trauma in my body and how I release it out. What do I do? How do I let go of it? You know, for me, it was just like my proving ground. It was like I didn't have a shaman going, hi, I'm your spiritual master, and I'm going to give you a workbook, and here's your book. Start with page 1, open up to question 1, and we're going to go over that today. I didn't have any of that. I just had random, like, holy shit, I just saw that guy get shot in the head, you know? Now I have to figure that out. Oops, what happened there? You know, he's obviously just sleeping with the wrong woman because her husband came home and shot him, and it happened in front of my kid and I. We're like, okay, damn, let's go out to eat, and we didn't see that. We didn't see that. We cannot pick him out in a lineup. We don't know anything. Because we didn't, you know, because it's like Peru, you don't know. It's like, it's just none of our business. I said a lot of prayers for that woman and for the man that got shot and the man that did the shooting. But, you know, hey, their karma is their karma. I do not own it, right? So all this stuff, and then along with all of the stuff I recognized about how people hold other people in pain based on their trauma. You know, so if, you know, you're an ascended master avatar and you get nailed to a cross, how people hold that you in that pain by wearing a cross around their neck, and all the generations coming later for 2,000 years. You know, they hold Yeshua, brother Yeshua, Jesus. All the Christians that wear a cross are holding him in that holding pattern of pain continuously and consistently for 2,000 years, that's fucking unfair as hell. All right, so that's what I mean by you need to let go of your the pain that you're holding on for others, because it's not your job to hold on to pain for others. It's not your job to pity others based on what they went through. You might pity them for a few minutes, and that's just human nature. Oh my God, I'm so sorry you went through that. Oh my God, honey, are you okay? Can I hug you? Can I hold you? Can we have a conversation? Can I buy you a vodka martini? Whatever, like whatever it is. You want me to grab you a Haagen-Dazs on the way over? We could watch movies and cry together. That's fine. Have a pity party for one day, but don't hold them in that pain continuously. Every time you see them. Oh, remember that time when that person really did you wrong? Remember that murder you witnessed? You don't need to hear that shit every fucking day of your life. Just like Jesus did not need, for 2,000 years, every person on the planet Earth, 75% of the population, hold him in his pain. Oh, Easter's coming around again. Let's focus on that shit again, actively, as a group. That is like not love. That's like putting yourself egoically and above somebody else, like, oh, you had that pain. And then there's like a secret part of you that says, wow, I didn't have that pain. Some part of you might be in awe, like, fuck, thank God I didn't have that pain. And part of you are like, well, wow, maybe they pulled that to them. Maybe they drew that to them. Maybe, and then you kind of start to, that ego thing gets stuck. Like, well, maybe I'm better than them. Maybe I'm more advanced than them. I don't hold that kind of pain. I don't pull that pain in me. Hey, maybe they're not as advanced as they think they are because, they've got pain. Ooh, but let me tell you, people who have more pain might possibly be more advanced because they're taking on more experiences and processing a whole lot more than maybe you are, or maybe somebody else is who's doing this, right? Because you guys probably aren't doing this. But I wanted, and if you're the person like I am in the situation that went through a bunch of shit, and several of you have talked to me about some of the stuff you've been through, and it's like, damn, man. I mean, we chose to have a crazy adventurous life. We chose to have all these wild experiences, but we also chose it for a reason. And it's not up to other people to hold us in pity or contempt or to feel sorry for us. And it's not up to them to hold our pain. Here, hold my beer. Here, hold my pain. Can you hold my bag right there? Here's my purse. It's full of my pain. You hold it. Next time we talk, bring it up. Open up my purse and, like Pandora's fucking box, take it all out. For sure. Throw that in my face. No one needs that. Don't be that person. Don't allow other people to hold your pain for you. Bury that shit deep in the earth where the crystals that are inside the planet can vibrate so high that it dissipates and breaks up and transforms and transmutes your pain. Or blow it into a bubble and throw it into the atmosphere where the sunlight itself is going to dissipate, transform, and transmute your pain into a different form of energy. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only transform, as our beloved Einstein said, right? So this is the way I look at it. Like, you know what? If I tell you my pain and you're sad for me, so what? Don't be sad more than a couple seconds because I'm over it. I'm like totally over it. I'm just like kind of freaked out about some of this stuff, but not freaked out on an emotional level. I'm not like, ooh, I can't sleep at night because I witnessed a murder 4 years ago. Like, I don't give a shit about it anymore. I witnessed a karmic act. I thought that was crazy. Wow. As angel of death, I witnessed death taking place in that moment. And I saw the whole scenario, and I saw how they're all at fault. All these people are at fault. And it's a karmic play, and I saw the patterns of it, and I saw that they're probably going to move on to another drama play in their future lives together. Again, it's going to happen until they're over it. And they probably already played the scenario out in a past life. And their pattern of that is going to continue playing out until forgiveness is had and love is had, and, until they release their own pain. And it's not up to me to hold their pain in my heart. Because what happened there had nothing to do with me. I just happened to be a witness. Literally like walking by and like, fuck. That was really obvious what happened. I mean, sexy woman in her lingerie, in her little high heels, screaming, no, 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 don't shoot him. And the man yelling, hey, carajo, like asshole, like, basically, why are you screwing my wife? And then the guy on the ground screaming, don't do it. And then boom, he did it. That's a karmic play. I watched and witnessed a karmic play. It was like weird. And it's like, what if I had tried to stop it? Then now I'm a part of the fucking karma, and he might have killed me and my daughter. Like, you know what I mean? It was like one of those things where it's like, God bless the situation, and I wash my hands. I'm out. That's what I did, But it's not up to me to hold their pain in my heart. I saw it, I witnessed it, and I just said, wow, God bless them. They'll work it out eventually. We all work it out eventually. But whatever that was about, they're going to have karma about it. They're going to come back. They're going to do it again and again and again, right? Or in the next world, in the next 3D world that comes along, if they don't wake up in time. They'll just, next time they get reincarnated, boom, different world. Different scenario. Maybe the woman who cheated on her husband will be the husband next time. It's like everyone plays the part, possibly. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I don't hold that pain in me anymore. I just was one of those freaky things like shit, To me, that's what Peru, that's part of what was represented by Peru to me. That's what Peru showed me. I am Peru. This is a part of me. That's what Peru did. The people burning on the side of the river, the murder that I witnessed, the assassins that were sent after me, that's a whole nother story. Just because someone made an assumption, a fucking assumption. This is what Peru is for me. This is what Peru said. Hi, I'm Peru. This is who I am. This is what I be. This is what I do. I'm Peru, I'm Lima. This is how crappy I am. But I told my friend, so my friend today says, oh, you have all this trauma. You need to see a therapist. You really need to see a therapist. You really, really, really need to get therapy. Oh my God, you have so much trauma and so much pain inside you. I'm like, I actually don't. I actually am a pretty happy person. I got my beautiful kitty cat. The biggest thing that weighs on my mind from day to day is where I'm going to make money in my life. Like, really, that's it. I don't have money from this podcast anymore. I'm working on that still. And I have no job and no income, but God is still providing for me. And so I'm not 100% worried about it, but at the same time, I'm like, I need to structure things a little different in my life, which I am, and I'm still working on my classes, and but for me, it's not like, oh my God, my pain, my trauma, because I don't have it anymore. I let it go long fucking time ago, years ago. Like I was telling my friend, I'm like, I only have like maybe 4 or 5 deaths I haven't, out of those, maybe only 1 or 2, I still have some things that I'm still working on processing and letting go. I'm sad from time to time. I miss Amber. She's the one I would call for like everything, astrology and relationship wise and being a mom. And when her advice didn't pan out fully, the mom advice, then I call my mom and ask her about the advice, And all my moms had different, I've had like 4 or 5 people like that I used to be able to call. Well, they're all dead now. So it's like I'm on my own and I'm shit out of luck. But at least the good news is my youngest son is an adult now and I'm done. So however I screwed him up, it's his turn to unscrew himself. And my daughter's in the middle of that too, unscrewing herself from whatever I accidentally screwed up. It's just the way it is. It's a weird thing that happens with every parent who's ever had children on earth. So, But my friend was like holding my pain, and he was just like, you're this and you're that, you have all this trauma, and I'm so worried about you. I'm like, why? My pain is not for you to hold for me. My pain is not for you to call back into my reality and then reflect it and shove it in my face again. My pain that I already let go of, that I already processed, that I, as a shaman, figured out how the hell to fix everything. It's not for you to drum it up again, call it up like a demon, and then put it in my face and then tell me what to do with my life. You know, it's just not. It's not my... I don't need a pity party. I don't have it. I'm happy, actually. I will be ecstatic when my twin flame comes my way. You know, he's ready almost. He's almost there. We're talking in the 5D like all the time, you know, and I love him dearly. And I have a little bit, I'm holding on to a little bit of his anxiety in me right now. And I keep trying to tell him, you got to breathe. Let's breathe it out. Let's work it out together. Because again, it's not for me to pull his pain into my body and then hold it and reflect it back. It's, you know, but as his twin flame, I told him I would help him with it, you know, and I do pull some of it and then I release it. But some of it I have to hold and just tell him what to do. And I wait for him to dissipate it. And then I could tell where he's at. Like, I don't know. But twin flames is a whole different situation. But like, you know, and a lot of my pain that I've been through, a lot of the trauma I've been through this past 3 or 4 days, I reviewed it. I was reviewing it, and I talked to a few of you about some of the stuff I went through, you know, and some of it I'm still processing, but I'm not holding the emotional pain it's not in my pain body anymore. It's like, all right, why did I have to go through that? Like, I'm a detective, baby. I'm like, all right. And this is why I'm a warrior too. I mean, I'm a light warrior. I used to think that I'm a light worker or whatever, and then I became an energy worker, and now I'm just a freaking energy warrior, energy light warrior. And this is how, is by going through these crazy, crazy experiences, most of which had nothing to do with me, that I just had to play cleanup crew afterwards, cleaning up the energy of it, cleaning up the pattern of it, making sure the rest of the people in the neighborhood did not grab onto that pain and hold it for themselves. Because that's what we do, is like we hold the pain in a holding pattern, and then we just are stuck. And we keep other people stuck. And then when we see, oh, you know, well, there goes Elena. She has so much trauma and pain. She's so dramatic. She, you know, all the stuff that happened around her. It's like, that's not how I see myself. I see myself as a homebody, a happy-go-lucky woman who has a gorgeous little kitty cat and a beautiful place to live. And I have this amazing podcast, and it's amazing only because you guys are there, and we're always talking about some of these ideas and concepts, and I'm able to bring to you my spiritual knowledge, and I'm grateful for that because it's always going to be there out in the ethers, and I'm helping a lot of people, and that's what I promised God I would do. I am serving God by serving you, and that's how I view myself. You know, so when my friend came at me today, like, you're such a traumatized person, I'm not. I'm really happy. I'm like totally fine. I'm totally fine. I mean, I am feeling this anxiety right now. I'm like, oh, twin flame, just take care of this already. Damn it. It's not the spaghetti I had for lunch. It's his anxiety. I just feel it. It's like a little bit of a heaviness, but I feel him leaving. He's working on it now. I think he's meditating right in this moment. Maybe meditation and marijuana. Maybe there's like a combination he's doing. I feel it. Like the other day, I felt him take a chill pill. Literally, he took an anxiety pill. And all of a sudden, my body got washed over with that energy of when I used to take anxiety pills. It's been years since I took them. And it's like, oh, wow, this feels amazing. Can you take another one? But he doesn't even have to take 2. He takes 1 and we both experience it. It's amazing. Anyway, so it's not up to you to hold on to people's pain and trauma. If they tell you their pain and trauma and it affects you, now it's your job to pull it out of your emotional and physical, psychological, and spiritual bodies, clear out your own auras and chakras. And, you know, it's up to you to clear it all out. Don't hold on to it, and don't put labels or energy onto people. Just because someone had a horrible, painful, and traumatic experience, they might not be experiencing right now. You don't want to keep bringing that up to them, because that's not friendship, and it's definitely not love. Stop doing it to Jesus. If you're a Christian and you're wearing a cross around your neck, throw that shit out. Replace it with a dove. Still love the man. Don't continuously think about him being in pain on the cross. He doesn't need that. He doesn't need that. He came here to teach how to overcome death, not focusing on death. And people get so scared about death that they keep focusing on it. And it's not necessary. I am Archangel Azrael. I am the angel of death. I am the one that knows about death more than anyone, because it has been my job, for thousands of years, to carry people from this life to the next life. And now I'm incarnated as a human being, and now I'm on the road to becoming an ascended master from a human being standpoint. So I get a different perspective of life. And God gave me this beautiful opportunity to do this. And he also gave it to 7,000 archangels who fell to serve God, to keep an eye as watchers over the fallen angels who became demons, right? That's who we are. And I am grateful that I got to learn so much about death and so much about life, and from so many different perspectives. And so the biggest thing I could tell you guys now is, if you love Jesus and if you're a Christian, by all means, love him. Stop focusing about his death. That's not what he needs. He needs you to understand the lessons he came to teach you. And one of the biggest lessons I'm teaching you right now is just don't hold on to people's patterns for them. It's not your job, and all you're doing is hurting people. And if they're doing it to you, let them know it's not your job to do this for me. You're keeping me in the pattern, and you're holding that energy, and I can't be your friend anymore if you're going to do this shit to me, because that means every time I see you, I have to reprocess my pain that I already let go of. So, I have an aunt who did that, and she was calling me 40 years after an incident where my stepmom beat me in front of her, and still crying on the phone. I can't believe she did that. I'm like, dude, I got over that when I had therapy when I was 18. 9 years after the fact, I was over it, and here it's 40 years later, and she's still processing. It's like, so what? I'm already over it. I don't give a shit. I mean, I'm married with kids. I'm not 9 anymore. I'm not fucking 9. Let that go. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. But people get stuck in that. And I think it's an ego trip a little bit. And I think it's because when you're empathic and you don't know where to put the energy, and then it's always in the forefront when that person comes into your energy field of awareness. So clear out everything, clear it out. Just clear it out. If you don't know how, contact me at mermaidgirl888, and I'll tell you for free how to clear this shit out. But basically, if you separate in your mind's eye all of your bodies, your Pepsi bodies, you're in your physical body, then you put your emotional body over there, and your psychological body over there, and your spiritual body over there, and you imagine you have holes in the bottom of your feet, and you just drain the energy into the ground. It's the easiest way. Or you could just imagine you're standing in a pillar of light, and 4 passes of light come through to clear out each of your bodies. And then you open up your chakras and you clear out any debris and residue that's in them. And then you clear out your aura, and you could do it with an egg, or you could do it with a shower. You could do it by standing in the rain and asking the rain to wash it away. Standing on a hill on a sunny day, and the sun will burn it away like dross. And the wind will pull it away and pull it out of you. There are many different ways to do this. You could look it up and find a way, or create a way for yourself that you could do this, but do not hold people's pain for them. They don't fucking need it. And do not allow other people to hold your pain for you, because you do not fucking need it. I finally got through to my friend today, and he's like, oh, thank God you're okay. I was so worried about me. You don't have to be worried about me. That's an ego trip. You don't need to be worried about me. I'm totally good. In fact, the only thing, like I told him, it's just the only thing that I worry about on a day-to-day basis is where I'm going to make my money? How am I going to get enough money to support myself here in Ecuador? Which I have to get, online jobs, because Ecuadorians, companies only pay like $3 an hour. So I can't, even working full time, I wouldn't have enough to legally stay. So, so I'm like working on that, right? I'm working on my things I need to work on, and God's telling me, and I'm being guided, and I'm happy, and I and my Father are one, and I walk confidently and forward in the direction of my dreams, and I do not carry the baggage of my pain. Otherwise, I would be held back so much that I'd be crying constantly, and why? It does nothing for nobody. So anyway, hopefully this has resonated with some of you that have situated yourself in these situations. If you're an empath, though, just let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. And if you're friends with an empath and they have not let your shit go, they need to check themselves, because it will wreck them. And it'll wreck your relationship, because it's like, you don't need someone to go, oh, remember, Tuesday of 1979 in that January when you did this. It's like, whatever. You're not my Akashic records, buddy. You're not my higher self. You're not my spiritual guide. You're not even God in his entirety. You're only a little spark of God. You need to stop that shit right now. You're not the high priestess holding the scroll of my life on your lap to bump me over the head with it every fucking time you see me. Stop with the pity party. No one needs your pity. Stop allowing people to pity you. You don't need their pity. That's the way it is. So, okay. Speaking of energy field, boy, there's been a lot of energy strangeness. High strangeness. There's been a lot of weird coincidences. And they've gotten weirder and weirder and weirder. Tim has been talking about this, the cosmic threader. We've been on this thread of talking about this for a while. Some parts of our conversation private, some public. And we're just like, whoa, things just keep, it's like more and more coincidences. Well, one really weird one, I told my friend about my San Pedro experiences, which I told you guys about in my first season, about taking San Pedro, which is the companion spirit plant teacher of ayahuasca. And San Pedro is like a cactus. Some of you have heard of his northern cousin called peyote. And San Pedro is this place. Well, we were talking about San Pedro a lot in the past week. So I decided to do my dishes today, turn on a random playlist I found on YouTube for 1980s music, which I love to dance to and sing to. Usually it's like The Cure. I love The Cure. I like the punk rock bands. But this is like a random playlist of the 80s, not necessarily a genre of music. So it was like from rock and roll to heavy metal to Madonna. And Madonna song that came up was La Isla Bonita, and she says, last night I dreamt of San Pedro. That's the first line in the song. I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Oh my God. Weird coincidence. And then she was talking about how San Pedro said to me, mi hijo. So sorry, Madonna. That means my son. If San Pedro is speaking to you as your plant medicine teacher, he would say mija or mi hija. Anyway, but I just had to shut off the thing, told my friend about it. We had a good laugh. I'm like, oh my God, her Spanish is atrocious. She grew up speaking Italian. She's from Italy. She's an Italian immigrant to America. But how does she not know how to pronounce Spanish right now? It was kind of cracking me up, but the whole San Pedro thing, coincidence came up. And then the other thing that came up was, right after that, a Prince song came on, right? And it was Purple Rain. And he says, I dedicate this song to my father, Francis Allen. And I'm like, oh my God, my name is Elena Francis. And then I'm like, well, was that really his father's name? So I looked it up. And the father of the musician known as Prince, or formerly known as, his name wasn't that at all, but he died on my birthday, August 25th. And I was like, oh my God, 19 years ago. God rest his soul. Well, it'll be 20 years this coming year. So Prince's father died in 2001 on my birthday, August 25th. I'm like, okay, that is too freaky. What is my connection with Prince? I don't know. But here's Francis Allen. I'm Elena Francis Fox, right? And then but he said Francis Allen, last name Allen. Well, guess what? My birth father's last name is, it's Allen. So these weird coincidences are getting closer and closer to home. I don't know what it means, but a lot of you are going through the same thing or similar things, and it's like, what? I think because we're coming upon the culmination of the Aquarius, the age of Aquarius, and it's just like things are happening more and more and more to make you pay attention. These are just messages from the universe. I mean, don't really let it freak you. It's freaky, but don't let it freak you out. It's like, signpost on the way, going up, ascending today. I mean, it's just how it is. We're like, whoop, 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 going up. It's just like a video game, going up little ladders in the Matrix, like chutes and ladders. But anyway, spaceweather.com today, the solar wind speed right now is only 356.9 kilometers per second. What? I can't believe it's so slow. And we're in the middle of a very dense stream of solar wind right now. You might be feeling the energy. It feels like a nice warm blanket that's wrapping you up from within inside. That's how it feels for me. Like it's wrapping around my spine and, kind of oozing out, kind of like a slow motion lava inside me. It's the way I feel with this solar wind stream. It's kind of happy and giddy and warm, like a nice warm blanket. It's, it gives me the feeling and the energy as if I'm next to a crackling fire having my favorite cup of hot cocoa and with my kitty cat on my lap. That's the energy I'm getting from this. That's not a necessary, it's not an emotion, but it's a feel. It's a nostalgic, sentimental sort of feel. And I feel safe, I feel warm, I feel good inside, and that's what I'm feeling from it as I tune into it right now. They think it's going to be G1 class geomagnetic storms coming tomorrow from this. Check it out for the Aurora Borealis. Some guy took a lot of wild and weird pictures of, the changing shape of the sun as it rose in Italy. Giacomo Venturin photographed this strange sunrise. If you want to look at it, it's on spaceweather.com. We have 0 sunspots. We've had 0 change in the cosmic radiation coming down from the cosmos outside of the sun. The sun itself is sending us, though, the solar wind stream. We're already in it, baby. We're going to be in it until tomorrow. It's going to affect you. It's going to take out all of the yuck that you are still maybe holding on to. Yucky energy is clearing out. In the past 3-4 days, like I said, I was thinking about all this crazy stuff that happened to me, not in an emotional way, but in a way of just reviewing it. And that's kind of the energy it's been in the past week of just like, all right, well, woo, look at all the stuff I went through. Oh my God. Pat me on the back because I deserve a fucking prize. And so do you. We all do for the stuff we've been through. 4 fireballs were seen by All Sky Fireball Network and NASA's All Sky cameras over the United States. And that is your space weather from spaceweather.com. As far as the Schumann Resonance today in Italy, disclosurenews.it, it was only 6 hertz frequency. That's it. Less than normal. So nothing to write home about, babe. Let's go back. Check the heartmath.org. And this is a day and a half ago. We'll go back a day and a half to Saturday at the 2300 hour. This is what was going on as far as the Schumann Resonance news is concerned. In California, they were at 81 hertz frequency. And I told you that Hopuf, Saudi Arabia would come up off the mat. Well, they were at 112 hertz frequency from 0, where they'd been for days. Now, 112 hertz frequency. That's way into the 5th dimension. And not to be beat by at all, Lithuania was at 129 hertz frequency. And Alberta, Canada was at 93 hertz frequency. And Northland, New Zealand was at 73 hertz frequency. And last but not least, Hululu, South Africa, they're still down on the mat, down for the count for right now anyway, at 0 hertz frequency. And that is the Schumann Resonance Earth News as far as today is concerned. So in the past 2 days. So there you have it. I hope that this introduction has helped you in some way. And I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. This is the 3rd week of the 3rd season of Metaphysical Soul Speak, the podcast. I think we're off to a dandy start. What do you guys think? All right. I'm going to take a quick break, by which you're going to hear about 10 seconds of music. And then when I come back, we're going to read the next installation of Book 2 of Bayard T. Spalding's book, The Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East, right after this. All right, guys, as you are aware, if you've already listened to the first 2 episodes of this book, in the year 1894, Bayard T. Spalding set off on an expedition with like 11 other scientific investigators and researchers, and they decided to go to the Himalaya mountains and figure out what truth there was to the rumor that ascended masters exist and still live on Earth in the Himalaya mountains. That they're incredible amounts of age. Jesus lives there. He's 2,000 years old. See, because the thing is, you were holding him in his pain with your cross on your neck, maybe not. Maybe not you, but someone you know, maybe your mom. I mean, my grandma had like crucifixes around it, like that, like the Catholic with, oh, it's horrible. But anyway, but where is he? He rose from the dead and he never died after that. And he's living in the Himalayan mountains with other ascended masters, and they're just giving us love and light constantly. That's what this book is about. Because these guys set out to find them, and find them they did. And these are the stories. Brother Yeshua, he's right there. You can connect your consciousness to him and have conversations with him. I've been doing it since I was a little girl. He started by contacting me. He knew something about me I didn't even know about myself at that time. You know, but I've always stood up for him. I've always been really pissed off at the way he's been treated. I told the Catholic Church off so many times when I was like 7 and 8 years old. Like, you know, I just always felt like there was a lot more to the story than they gave room for or allowed. I mean, it's miraculous. I mean, unless you know the science behind the reality of this matrix we live in. But that's what we're here to find out and investigate by reading this book. And thank God for these 12 people that set off over 100 years ago to figure this out. To find these people and to learn a little bit more. So we're going to get into it today. Last week we read chapters 2 and 3. I don't know how far we'll get today, but we'll start and we'll see what happens. How's that? All right, here we go. Oh, and by the way, when I say that he conquered death, he didn't conquer me, the angel of death. I'm just a conduit. I just take people to heaven or whatever port they're going through. You know, it's not always heaven, but usually it is. I mean, I would say it's more than 9 times out of 10, but at least in my experience from this life alone, I've only had to take 2 people to hell, and I didn't take them. I had somebody else do it for me. But anyway, here we go. Chapter 4. And again, the book is The Life and Teaching of the Masters of the Far East by Bayard T. Spalding. All right. So chapter 4, book 2. After we were comfortably seated, Jesus proceeded with the conversation. See, there we go. Starting right off the bat. There he is. He says, when we stand one with the sum of all intelligence and recognize ourselves as an actual part of that intelligence, and know conclusively that this is the great principal God, we shall soon find ourselves conscious of the fact that all the intelligence throughout the whole cosmic universe is working with us. We also realize quickly that the intelligence of all great genius, as well as the little mentality of the single cell of the body, is working with us in perfect harmony and accord. This is the one great intelligent cosmic mind that we are positively allied with. Indeed, we are that very mind. We are the self-consciousness of the universe. The instant we feel this very thing, nothing can keep us from the Godhead. From this universal consciousness, we can draw all knowledge. We know that we can know all. Without studying and without process of reasoning, not going from one lesson to another, nor from one point to another. The lessons are necessary only in order to bring us to the attitude in which we can step forth into this thought. Then we become comprehensive and include all thought. There is a complete stream of motivating thought that is irresistible, and we know that nothing can divert us from true accomplishment. We are with the whole. Thus we move on irresistibly with the whole. It is impossible for any condition to keep us from our accomplishment. The drop of water is only weak when it's removed from the ocean. Replace it, and it is as powerful as the whole ocean. It matters not whether we like it or whether we believe it. It is intelligent law, and we are that very thing. The sum of all truth is the great principle, God. Everything from eternity to eternity, whether we think it is a great truth or a little truth, every word, every true word, thought, or spoken is a part of the great truth. One great all, one universal truth. And we are that very thing. When we realize this oneness and stand absolutely with truth, we have the whole of truth back of us, and our irresistibility is increased. It is the force of the ocean back of the wave that gives the wave its power. That too is but a portion of God force, which man also is. The sum of all love is the great principle God. It is the sum of every affection, every fervent emotion, every loving thought, every look, every word, every deed. Every attracted love, great or small, sublime or low, makes the one infinite love stand forth, and nothing is too great for us. As we love unselfishly, we have the complete ocean of cosmic love with us. That which is thought least is greatest as it sweeps on to absolute perfection. Thus, the whole universe of love is conscious with us. There is no great power on earth or in heaven than pure love. Earth becomes heaven. Heaven is humanity's true home. Finally, the sum of every condition, every form, every being is the one infinite cosmic principle, God. Whether it be individuals, worlds, planets, stars, atoms, electrons, or the most minute particles, all together make one infinite whole, the body of which is the universe, the mind, cosmic intelligence, the soul, cosmic love. Woven together as a whole, their bodies, minds, and souls are held together with the cohesive force of life. Yet each one functions in eternal identity, eternal individual identity, moving freely in its individual orbit and octave of harmony. Attracted, drawn, held together by the love of that universe of harmony. We constitute that great being that nothing can thwart. It is made up of every unit of humanity as well as every unit of the universe. If a portion of one unit excludes itself from the whole, it makes no difference to the principal being, but it makes a vast difference to the unit. The ocean is not conscious of the removal of a drop of water, but the drop is very conscious of the ocean when it is returned or reunited with it. It is not enough for us to say that we are close to the great cosmic principle God. We must know definitely that we are one with, in, and of, and amalgamated entirely with principle. And that we cannot be separated or apart from God principle. Thus we work with the principle of power, which is all power. It is the law that in principle we live, move, have our being. Thus, when we wish to come in contact with God, we do not think of something away and difficult to attain. All we need to know is that God is within as well as all about us, and that we are consciously within the presence of God and are present in God and in command and with full power. Thus we need not pause, we need not ponder, we take the path directly to God within. Here the Christ stands steadfast and supreme, and with God we can endure forever. Thus we arouse our dead selves into the realization of the life within, and that life resurrects us from the dead. We return to life immortal, unchanging. We are convinced of life and of our right to live that life fully and perfectly. The Christ within stands forth and says, I come that you may have complete life and live that more abundantly. This must be a true resurrection in our consciousness, and uplifting of our dead senses into a higher vibration of life, truth, and love. As all nature is awakening about us, let us arouse ourselves and see the dawn of this approaching day. Thus we get up and out of our grave clothes, up and out of all sense of limitation in which we have bound our bodies. We roll the stone of materiality completely from our consciousness, that heavy weight of thought that has separated the life within from the life without, and which has held the life form in death and denied it life because we have not recognized its right to life. Let us get up and out of death. This is what the resurrection means. It is an awakening to the full realization of life here and now, and that life omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient, nowhere absent, nowhere powerless, nowhere unconscious, but everywhere present, everywhere powerful, everywhere conscious, in fullness, in freedom, in gloriously radiant, expressive, expanding action. When our hearts flame to this thought, and our whole being glows with this life within, we can readily extend our hand and say, Lazarus, come forth. Get out of your grave. You do not belong in death. Come to life. Awake from your delusion. Wake here and now. Thus we are awakened to the master consciousness, and we shall weep because of the density of thought of those that watch the awakening. Thousands of years of this awakening have been presented to humanity, yet many sleep. But their sleeping does not justify us in doing so. It is because of what we do that humanity is awakened to that rightful heritage. As we awaken to our rightful heritage, we shall awaken to the beauty and purity of the age-old message that our bodies are eternally beautiful, pure, and perfect. They are always beautiful, pure, spiritual bodies, most magnificent and divine, the true temples of God. This awakening also convinces us that our bodies have never descended from that high estate. We see that it was only a human concept wherein we thought they had descended. As soon as this thought is released, our body is released to its true inheritance of divinity. Then the fragrance of a warm summer evening suffuses all nature, and our bodies begin to take on this effulgence. Soon pure rays of white light appear within our bodies. They become aglow with this light. And this soft yet brilliant living light invades the clear atmosphere around us like a white gold vapor. This light increases steadily until it covers and permeates everything about us. Bathed in this radiance, there appears a pure crystal white light, dazzling and scintillating with a radiance greater than that of the purest diamond. Yet it is emanating from our bodies, and they stand forth ablaze with pure light, radiant and beautiful. Here we stand together on the holy mount of transfiguration, with bodies luminous and glowing, radiant and beautiful, immersed wholly in divine life. The Son of Man has become the Christ of God, and the kingdom of God is once more among mankind, and more vital because others have accepted and brought forth the kingdom in full dominion. The light of the God kingdom shows, oh my gosh, let me read this again. The light of the God kingdom grows stronger because of the acceptance. This is the true body which humanity has always had and which I'll have today. Such a body always has existed and always will exist. It is a body so luminous that no germ of old age or decay can find lodgment therein. It is a body so alive that it cannot die. Such a body can be crucified 1,000 times, and because of such a crucifixion come forth more triumphant. Such a body stands forth as the divine master of every situation. Such a body is eternally resurrected. This is a new age message to you. The same as it seemed to be a new age message 2,000 years ago. It is the same today as it was then. It is but the resurrection of the age-old message. This message was told thousands of centuries ago in language so simple that babies could read. The message is that man, of his own free will, shall leave the man-made kingdom and evolve to the God kingdom. The Son of Man is to realize his divinity, reveal this divinity in his body and affairs, and become the Christ of God in the kingdom of God. Know ye not that ye are gods? Within you know that this kingdom of God is the most natural thing in the world. You have but overlooked the fact that if man be in Christ, he is a new creature. It is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom, and every man passeth into it. And the question is asked, when? And the answer always is, when the without is as the within. When the without is as the within. The great oak tree that sleeps within the acorn became aroused throughout the whole acorn before the tree could develop. Eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, nor hath it entered into the heart of man to conceive of the things that God hath prepared for them that love him. God knows that in the great structure of the universe, there is a splendid place for every human being, and that each has his individual place. The structure can stand only because each is in his right place. Does not this message lighten the burden of everyone and adorn each countenance with a smile, even those of the weary ones who think they labor like dumb-driven cattle? Thus I say to you, you are an especially designed creation. You have a particular mission. You have a light to give, a work to do that no other can give or accomplish. And if you will open your heart, mind, and soul wide to spirit, you will learn of it in your own heart. There you find that your very own Father speaks to you. No matter how wayward or thoughtless you have thought yourself, you will find that your Father loves you devotedly and tenderly the instant you turn to God within. The anointing which you have of God abides in you, and you need not the teaching of any man. Is this not a resurrection from the old thought? Ye need not that any man teach you. It is only necessary to receive the anointing from God that has always been yours. You may accept others as brother helpers, but you are always instructed and led from within. The truth is there for you and you will find it. That truth always teaches that humanity is a complete unit, not a unity, but a great unit. Combined with God, they are the great one. Humanity is more than a brotherhood. It is one man, just as a vine and its branches are one vine. No one part or one unit can be separated from the whole. The Christ's prayer is that they all may be one. He that hath done it unto the least of these my brethren hath done it unto me. Now you know the Christ for whom the whole family in heaven and on earth is named. The truth is, all is one spirit, one body, the great Lord body of all humanity, the great love, light, life of God completely amalgamates that body into one complete whole. Chapter 5. At one time, conversation led on to a point where one of our party asked where hell was and what the devil meant. Jesus turned quickly and said, "Hell or the devil has no abiding place except in man's mortal thought. Both of them are just wherever man places them. With your present enlightenment, can you place either in any geographical position on earth?" I mean, I know the guy who was Lucifer, now he's just a guy in Georgia, but I mean, right now, yeah, Jesus, I can. But he's not ethereal anyway. He's like, he's in a human body making his way back to God like the rest of us now. Anyway, from my understanding, anyway, let's see what he has to say about it. So he says, if heaven is all and surrounds all, where could hell or the devil be placed ethereally? Exactly, it's just in the minds of man. If God rules all and is all, where could either be placed in God's perfect plan? Yeah, it's only when men believe they belong there. That's when they go. Because at the end, it's just, it all leaves. It's all gone at the end. Anyway, at least my understanding. Let's see what Jesus has to say. He knows more than I do. He says, okay, if we take the science of things, we know there is a legend told here that all the heat and light and many other natural forces are contained right within the earth itself. The sun of itself has no heat or light. It has potentialities that draw the heat and light from the earth. Oh, that's weird. I never heard that one. After the sun has drawn the heat and light rays from the earth, the heat rays are reflected back to the earth by the atmosphere that floats in the ether. The light rays are drawn from the earth in about the same manner and are reflected back to the earth by the ether. All right, so wait a minute. Did he just say the same thing? I'm going to do that again, just in case you guys missed it, because I think I missed something there. Let me do it again. After the sun has drawn the heat and light rays from the earth, the heat rays are reflected back to the earth by the atmosphere that floats in the ether. The light rays are drawn from the earth in about the same manner and reflected back to the earth by the ether. Okay, so heat and light both float in the ether. Interesting. Okay. As the air extends only a comparatively short distance, the effect of the heat rays varies as you leave the Earth's surface and descend toward the outer limit of the atmosphere. As the air becomes less dense, there's less reflection, and consequently, as you ascend into the higher altitudes, the heat becomes less and the cold increases. Every heat ray, as it's drawn out and reflected, drops back to the earth where it's regenerated. When you have reached the limit of air, you have reached the limit of heat. It is the same with the light rays. They are drawn from the earth and reflected back by the ether. As this ether extends much farther from the earth than the air, the light rays extend much farther before they are all reflected. When you have reached the limit of ether, you reach the limit of light. When you have reached the limit of heat and light, you have reached the great cold. This cold is far more solid than steel, and it presses down upon the ether and the atmosphere with almost irresistible force and holds them together. I'm going to read that again. This cold is far more solid than steel, and it presses down upon the ether and the atmosphere with almost irresistible force and holds them together. Hell is supposed to be warm, and his satanic majesty abhors cold. So you could not find any lodging place out there for them. Now that we have disposed of them above, let us take the other scientific legend and go below. According to this legend, the earth a short distance from the surface is a molten mass. It is so hot that it will melt any substance. It is so hot that it will melt any substance. This molten mass at the center revolves more slowly than does the crust at the outer, and the belt where the two meet is the place where the natural forces are generated, and there again the hand of God rules all. So there's no place for his satanic majesty or his home there. For if he attempted to live in either the hottest or the coldest place, he would find it very uncomfortable, since cold will consume as well as heat. We have searched every place and we cannot find him a home. I told you, Jesus, he's in Georgia. So we must assume that he is right where man is. Yeah, exactly, in Georgia. He's in Atlanta right now. And has all the power that man gives him. Exactly. He has all the power that man gives him. It was only the personal adversary that I cast out. Do you think for a moment that I would cast the devil out of any man and then allow him to enter a herd of swine that cast themselves into the sea? I never saw the devil in any man, save he brought him there himself. The only dominion I ever gave him was that which man himself gave him. Yeah, exactly. I didn't know about that swine being cast into the sea. Poor little piggies. That's such a crazy story. Later, the talk led to God. And one of our parties said, I would like to know who or what God really is. Then Jesus spoke and he said, I believe that I understand the motive of the question you would like to clear up in your own mind. It is the many conflicting thoughts and ideas that are puzzling or disturbing the world today without reference to the origin of the word. God is the principle behind everything that exists today. The principle behind a thing is spirit. The spirit is omnipotent, omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient. God is the one mind that is both the direct and the directing cause of all the good that we see about us. God is the source of all the true love that holds or binds all forms together. God is impersonal principle. God is never personal, except as he becomes to each individual a personal loving father, mother. To the individual, he can be a personal, loving, all-giving father, mother. God never becomes a great being located somewhere in the skies in a place called heaven, where he has a throne which he sits upon and judges people after they die. For God is the life itself, and that life never dies. That is but a misconception brought about by man's ignorant thinking, just as so many malformations have been brought about, and you see them in the world around you. God is not a judge or a king who can intrude his presence upon you or bring you before the bar of justice. God is a loving, all-giving father, mother who, when you approach, puts out his arms and enfolds you. It does not matter who or what you are or what you have been. You are his child, just the same as when you seek him with a true heart and purpose. If you are the prodigal son who has turned his face from the Father's house, and you are weary of the husks of life, or that you are feeding to the swine, you can again turn your face to the Father's house and be certain of a loving welcome. The feast ever awaits you there. The table is always spread, and when you do return, there will not be a reproach from a brother that has returned before you. God's love is like a pure spring that gushes from a mountain. At its source, it is pure, but as it flows on its course, it becomes clouded and polluted until it enters the ocean so impure, it does not even resemble that which emerges from the source. As it enters the ocean, it begins to drop the mud and slime to the bottom, and again rises to the surface as a part of the glad, free ocean from which it can again be taken up to refresh the spring. You can see and talk with God at any time, just as you can with father, mother, brother, or friend. Indeed, he is far closer than any mortal can be. God is far dearer and truer than any friend. God is never wrought up, nor angry, nor cast down. God never destroys, nor hurts, nor hinders one of his children or creatures or creations. If God did these things, he would not be God. The God that judges, destroys, or withholds any good thing from his children or creatures or creations is but a God conjured up by man's ignorant thinking. And you need not fear that God unless you wish to do so. For the true God stretches forth his hand and says, "All that I have is yours." When one of your poets said that God is closer than breathing and nearer than hands or feet, he was inspired by God. All are inspired by God when that inspiration is for the good or the right, and all can be inspired by God at all times if they only will. When I said I am the Christ, the only begotten of God, I did not declare this for myself alone. For had I done this, I could not have become the Christ. I say definitely that in order to bring forth the Christ, I, as well as all others, must declare it, then must live the life, and the Christ must appear. You may declare the Christ all you will, and if you do not live this life, the Christ will never appear. Just think, dear friends, if all would declare the Christ, then live the life for 1 or 5 years, what an awakening there would be. The possibilities cannot be imagined. That was the vision that I saw. Dear ones, can you not place yourselves where I stood and see as I saw? Why do you surround me with the murk and the mire of superstition? Why do you not lift your eyes and minds and thoughts above these and see with a clear vision? Then you would see that there are no miracles, no mysteries, no pain, no imperfection, no inharmony, and no death, except that which man has made. When I said, I have overcome death, I knew whereof I spoke, but it took the crucifixion to show these dear ones. There are a great many of us joined together to help the whole world, and this is our life work. There have been times when it has taken our combined energies to ward off the evil thoughts of doubt and disbelief and superstition that have nearly engulfed mankind. You may call them evil forces if you wish. We know that they are evil only as man makes them so. But now we see the light growing brighter and brighter as the dear ones throw off the bonds. The throwing off of these bonds may for a time sink mankind into materiality. But even so, it is a step nearer the goal. For materiality does not hold one as superstition and myth and mystery hold one. When I stepped upon the water that day, do you think that I cast my eyes downward into the great depths of the material substance? No. I fastened my eyes steadfastly on God power that transcends any power of the deep. The moment I did this, the water became as firm as a rock, and I could walk upon it in perfect safety. Jesus stopped talking for a moment, and one of our party asked, "While we are talking, does it not hinder you from going right on with your work?" Jesus answered and said, "You cannot hinder one of our friends here for a moment, and I believe I am included as one of them." Someone spoke and said, "You are our brother." And then Jesus' face lighted up with a smile as he said, "Thank you. I have always named you as brothers." One of the party then turned and asked Jesus, "Can all bring forth the Christ?" He answered, "Yes. There is but one end of accomplishment. Man came forth from God and must return to God. That which from the heavens descended must again ascend unto heaven. The history of the Christ did not begin with my birth, neither did it end with the crucifixion. The Christ was when God created the first man in his own image and likeness. The Christ and that man are one. All men and that man are one. As God was his Father, so is he the Father of all men, and all are God's children. As the child has the quality of the parents, so the Christ is in every child. For many years the child lived and realized his Christhood, his oneness with God through the Christ in himself. Then began the history of the Christ, and you can trace this history back to man's beginning. That the Christ means more than the man Jesus goes without contradiction. Had I not perceived this, I could not have brought forth the Christ. To me, this is the pearl without price, the old wine in new bottles, the truth which many others have brought forth, and thus have fulfilled the ideals that I have fulfilled and proved. For more than 50 years after that day on the cross, I taught and lived with my disciples, and many of those I loved dearly. In those days we gathered at the quiet place outside of Judea. There we were free from the prying eyes of superstition. There many acquired the great gifts, and they accomplished a great work. Then, seeing that by withdrawing for a time, I would be able to reach and help all, I withdrew. Besides, they were depending upon me instead of upon themselves, and in order to make them self-reliant, it was necessary for me to withdraw from them. If they had lived in close association with me, then could they not find me again if they desired to do so? The cross was, in the beginning, the symbol of the greatest joy the world ever knew. The foundation of the cross is the place where man first trod the earth. Therefore, the mark that symbolizes the dawn of a celestial day here on earth. If you will trace it back, you will find that the cross disappears entirely, and that it is the man standing in the attitude of devotion, standing in space with arms upraised in blessing, sending out his gifts to humanity, pouring all his gifts forth freely in every direction. When you know that the Christ is the fitting life within the form, the rising energy that the scientist glimpses, yet does not know whence it came, when you feel with the Christ that the life is lived, so that life may be given freely, when you learn that man is obliged to live by the constant dissolution of forms, and that the Christ lived to give up the thing that the body of sense craved for the good that he could not at the moment enjoy, you are the Christ. When you see yourself a part of the greater life, but willing to sacrifice yourself for the good of the whole, when you learn to do right without being affected by the outcome to help, when you learn freely to give up physical life and all that the world has to give, this is not self-abnegation or poverty, for as you give of God, you will find you have the more to give. Although at times duty may seem to demand all that life has to give. You will also know that he who will save his life shall lose it. Then you will see that the pure gold is at the deepest part of the furnace where the fire has fully cleansed it. You will find great joy in knowing that the life you have given to others is the life you have won. You will know that to receive is to give freely. That if you lay down the mortal form, a higher life will prevail. You have the glad assurance that a life thus won is one for all. You must know that the great Christ soul can go down to the river, and that the stepping into the water but typifies the sympathy you feel for the world's great need. Then you are able to help your fellow men and not boast of virtue. You can pass out the bread of life for the hungry souls that come to you, yet that bread never diminishes by the giving. You must press on and know fully that you are able to heal all that come to you, sick or weary or heavy laden. With the word that makes whole the soul, you are able to open the eyes of those blinded, either from ignorance or from choice. It does not matter how low the blinded soul may be. He must feel that the Christ soul stands beside him, and he must find that you tread with human feet the very ground he treads. Then you will know that the true unity of Father and Son is within and not without. You will know that you must stand serene when the God without is put away and only the God within remains. You must be able to withhold the cry of love and fear as the words, my God, why have you forsaken me?" ring out. Still, at that hour, you must not feel alone, for you must know that you stand with God, that you are nearer to the heart of the loving Father than you've ever been before. You must know that the hour you touch the deepest sorrow is the hour in which your greatest triumph begins. With all this, you must know that sorrows cannot touch you. From that hour, your voice will ring with a great free song, For you fully know that you are the Christ, this light which is to shine among men and for men. Then you will know the darkness that is in every soul that cannot find a helping hand to clasp as he journeys on the rugged road before he finds the Christ within. You must know that you are truly divine. And being divine, you must see that all men are as you are. You will know that there are dark places you must pass with the light that you are to carry to the highest. And your soul will ring out in praise that you can be of service to all men. Then with a glad free shout, and being divine, you must see that all men are as you are. You will know that there are dark places you must pass with the light that you are to carry to your highest. And your soul will ring out in praise that you can be of service to all men. Then with a glad free shout, you mount to your very highest in your union with God. Now you know that there is no substitution of your life for other lives or of your purity for others' sins, but that all are glad free spirits in and of themselves and of God. You know that you can reach them while they cannot reach each other, that you cannot help giving of your life for the life of each soul, that it shall not perish. Yet you must be so reverent of that soul that you will not pour into it a flood of life unless the life of that soul opens to receive it. But you will freely pour out to it a flood of love, life, and light, so that when one does open the windows, the light of God will pour in and illuminate him. You will know that in every Christ that arises, humanity is lifted one step higher. Then too, you must know full well that you have everything your Father has. And having all, it is for all to see. You must know that as you rise and are true, you lift the whole world with you. For as you tread the path, it becomes plainer for your fellow men. You must have faith in yourself, knowing fully that that faith is God within. Finally, you must know that you are a temple of God, a house not made with hands, immortal in the earth and in heaven as well. Then will they sing of you, all hail. All hail, he comes, the King, and lo, he is with you always. You are in God, and he is in you. Jesus arose, saying he would be obliged to leave us, as he was to be at the home of another brother in the same village that evening. The whole company arose. Jesus blessed all, and with two of the gathering, he walked from the room. And that's it. That's our reading, right at 52:52. And that's a palindrome of 25, which is my birthday, which I mentioned earlier in the introduction. So for those of you keeping score with the angel numbers. I'm having like an allergy out of nowhere. Something outside is blooming. And my beautiful cat is not quite yet done playing outside. Every time I try to close the door, she races outside. Something out there is fascinating her. So next week we will come back and read on Monday chapter 6. So that was chapter 4 and 5 for tonight in the book. I don't know about you guys, but did you notice almost like all the similarities of the things I was saying and what he was saying? And they, connect nicely together. I wasn't saying the exact same thing that I just read that Jesus said, but, or Yeshua. Yeshua, he goes by Jesus because that's what people call him and know him by the most, of course. But, yeah, that's, like me walking through and knowing, I needed to see that thing that happened. It was terrible, but I witnessed a karmic drama playing out, and I was like, wow, I can't imagine being God and having the whole of consciousness and witnessing this stuff constantly. God doesn't feel the trauma, though. God is impersonal. He's impartial. He just looks at it and observes it interesting. It's interesting. Wow. All these crazy things, all these traumas and dramas that play out, but you don't have to be connected to him. You really, really don't. But we sometimes have to witness these things, which it's weird. Oh, my cat just did something. Oh, she's now laying on the computer. Oh, thank you for helping me with the computer, girl. That's so nice of you. I was done reading. She's like, yes, you are, damn it. Oh, you're so cute. Okay. I hope you guys heard her little meow. It goes, meow, meow. I love you. I don't know if you could hear her or not. She didn't meow, but she's staring at me all spooky-eyed. Anyway, well, that's it. That's it for tonight. I hope that you got something out of it and that maybe it clarified or created connections that you didn't have before. That's what I'm here for, to help you guys ascend, help myself ascend, if one of us ascends tomorrow and becomes the Christ, then we just lifted each other up. So, it's like the tides. One boat rises, they all rise. So let's all rise to the top. Here it is. Age of Aquarius and all that. So, we're in the Mercury retrograde period now. The shadow is gone. We're just in it. Make sure you are careful with your communications. Take your time. Be mindful. We'll talk a little bit more about that probably tomorrow. And that's it. I love you guys. Thank you for being here, for your continued faith and confidence in me, myself, my abilities, my words, and for tuning in, especially for this book, the reading of these books. This information is priceless. It's, to me, really powerful information if you use it the right way, and not just listen to it as a story that's entertaining. Oh wow, it's cool, it happened 100 years, 150 years ago, but rather as a guide in how you yourself can embody the Christ consciousness and ascend into perfection. You utilize information and try to get it through to your subconscious mind, that this is this is where you're going. You're already the Christ, you just haven't claimed it yet. And that's all it is. That's all it is. Anyway, okay, I'll be back tomorrow, guys, with all unique and original programming, just like always. I wanted to say thank you to those of you who have been giving me donations. Thank you. If that's you want to do a one-time donation rather than an ongoing one, excuse me, you could PayPal me at mermaidgirl888@gmail.com. If you want to talk to me about anything, if you need clarification or ideas or questions for me, that you want me to talk about on the air or even privately, we could keep it private if you want, just DM me. Send me a direct message at mermaidgirl888 on Instagram as well. So, Kat is she's pushing all the buttons on the computer. It's fascinating to her, so I'm going to have to go. Hey, you having fun? Are you learning how to, maybe you could write Mommy's book for her. There you go. All right, well, that's it. I will be back tomorrow, so right now I am signing off with peace and joy and the high vibes of the Holy Fifth Dimension. Till next time, guys, peace. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.